You rolling? Hi, I'm Timothy Mitchell, the Practical Printer, and welcome to my print lab.
Hi, everyone. My name is Timothy Mitchell, and I am the Practical Printer. Digital printing for practical people. I have an interest in every facet of the sign industry, from web to print all the way through fabrication, and everything in between. I'm interested in service technicians. I'm interested in independent installers. I'm interested in distribution. I'm interested in printers. I'm interested in ink. I'm interested in print heads. I'm interested in all the technology that the industry offers, including really cool, visible installations. The industry has all these segments. There's all these different components to it. And one of the things that this industry does the most of, by the numbers, is printing on adhesive vinyl. And within adhesive vinyl, the sort of rock star subcategory of adhesive vinyl, the really high visibility, the sexy element of the industry is vehicle wraps. When you go to a show, the real pizzazz is around the big vehicle wrap installations. They have all kinds of cool exotic cars. They have, all these highly professional, visible people in the industry. They have their own parties. It's a big deal. And it's a huge, huge multi-million-dollar industry. And it is also very much, if you're going to do it right, a trade. You can't just, believe me, you can't just go and walk up and learn to do a vehicle wrap. That's not going to work so well for you. Rarely does that happen. So what I wanted to do is a series on vehicles, on vehicle wraps, on installation, and all the things that are necessary to know. Manufacturers, techniques, ink types. And then I figured, well, I would get together with the people I know in the industry who do this professionally for a living at a very high level, who are very successful at it, and who are highly respected within the industry and other people. Which brings me to my guest today, which is Matthew Ferguson. Matt, you are the owner of A&M Graphics. You're up in New York, a beautiful part of the country. And I've known you for quite a few years now. I call you when I have questions about various techniques and curing and everything else. Welcome to the Practical Printer. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I wanted to start kind of my episode 1 on vehicle wraps with a very simple question. Imagine that I'm a small sign shop, right? And I've had a couple people coming in already and say, hey, do you guys do vehicle wraps? Now, vehicle graphics can be all kinds of different tiers, from just, I can go put decals, on my vehicles. I can even do kind of a partial. But as you get into more complex installation and then a full wrap, that's a different level. So a guy comes in and says, hey, I've got 4 vans. I want to wrap them all. These are my commercial fleet. And I say, I don't really have that skill set. There's somebody that I work with. And so you either direct them directly to somebody else who does this, or you take the job and then bring it over to somebody else. But either way, you're a broker now. Okay. You're not actually doing the wrapping and the printing. You might do the printing, but not the wrapping. But usually most shops, they'll just handle everything. They have a designer, make sure the designs are right, they fit in. And so in a way, you're losing a key element to that business if you don't do it yourself. So then the question I have is, does it make sense for me to go in the wrap business? What do I have to know? And what is it I'm going to have to account for to be successful? And that's my first question is, Matt, I want to start a wrap segment of my little sign shop. Like, let's say I'm a medium-sized fast signs. What do I need to know about getting into this business? And what are the key questions I have to ask myself so I don't make a mistake?
Absolutely. And again, that's that's something I definitely see across the country, touring different shops and doing visits and things like that is, you have, even if it's a mom and pop sign shop, they're doing spot graphics, decals, things like that. And they're kind of at one point or another, they see that they're leaving money on the table. Like we talked about, the vehicle wrap industry is kind of the sexy part of the industry. It's cool. There's cool cars, there's cool projects, things like that. So it's really hard not to kind of, be attracted to that. It's very magnetic. So a lot of shops wonder what they're leaving on the table or know what they're leaving on the table, or they just, kind of throw themselves into it because, like me, when I was getting into this industry from very much that same standpoint, I didn't want to leave anything on the table. I wanted to further my knowledge, my skills, things like that. So they take these projects on and then soon realize that they're kind of in over their head, or they get through them, but they don't have the greatest technique, or they don't know the industry as deep as the trade, as deep as they should. So they have failures and kind of go through the bumps in the road. Training is huge. Training is available everywhere now. Training has absolutely exploded in our industry, whether it's online with Justin Pate and the Rap Institute, which is something me, myself, as a trainer, I still subscribe to. I still spend that money every month with a subscription to the Rap Institute because, there's things that I don't do every day in it, or there's parts of my technique that I want to sharpen. I want to make better. I want to, excel at, so I'll jump in on a certain topic, a certain type of vehicle. So that's a huge resource. In-person training has absolutely exploded. With manufacturer hosted, distributor hosted trainings are everywhere. They're not hard to find. So I would say if you have absolutely, you've got that little bit of vinyl experience, you've felt it, you've done spot graphics, you've applied vinyl to sign substrates, I would start with a very introductory course to first see, because that's very usually a smaller investment, something that's really easy. Where at the end of the day, if you jump in there and you say, this probably really isn't for me, then if you're out $200-400, not the biggest deal. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Not usually what happens. Usually we got a lot of great trainers out there that are really passionate about what they do and about training kind of the next generation. So I would, my recommendation is definitely start with a nice introductory course, which can be infinitely valuable. In my introductory courses, we have people that, have a little bit of that hands-on with vinyl. We've also had people, that have never even touched vinyl in their life. Maybe they come from not just a sign shop part of things. What I have also seen is they're coming from the auto detailing, the ceramic coating, the car audio. That whole industry keeps crossing over with our industry as well, with products like paint protection film and ceramic coatings. So you start getting that crossover. So that's a big one I see in different markets as well. And those are usually people that have never touched vinyl before, but they're very hands-on people. They're very articulate when it comes to the detail that's involved with vehicle wrap. So we see it on both ends, and an introductory course can make both of those demographics walk out able to make money with the skills they've learned, because what that teaches is very important, which is good foundations. I'm very big on good foundation. And we start off in those intro courses with squeegee technique. And I've got a little thing where, I'll draw with a dry erase marker right on the commercial van, solid line, dotted line, solid line, almost like when you're in grammar school learning how to write lowercase and uppercase, and show them how to follow the squeegee. And it erases a dry erase marker as we're going. So that's a very, very important foundational technique to start off with, not only for people who've never touched it, but people who have started their own way and kind of developed some bad habits. So, and I even have a thing, we keep it very fun, but I also have a thing that's called squeegee detention. So if I walk around as the students are working on the van and I see somebody kind of chopping away,
yeah, that's me.
with
Just so you know, that's me. I'm the bad habit guy. Go ahead, please.
Then I'm like, hey, that's not what we talked about. Come on over here. And I got a little spot of the van that's reserved for squeegee detention, where they have to go back over and do it, And again, we make it really fun. There's always that one guy, that just can't break the bad habit. So We put them in squeezy detention a couple times. Again, keeping it very
Easy
fun and light.
detention.
Keeping it very fun and light,
Yeah.
they're laughing, everybody's laughing, and but those foundational techniques are very important,
Well,
and
I
then
would
that,
think, go ahead. I would think
I
too that learning this is going to help you be better at installation on things that even are not connected to wraps, right? Because
100%.
I've looked at the numbers about, when you look at, your average sign shop printer, adhesive vinyl is a thing people print on most in all sorts of different applications. So whether you're using a good cast vinyl for a vehicle application, or you're using polymeric vinyl for other applications, or monomeric vinyl in the different grades, and then window film floors, the techniques you would learn in this would apply to almost anything you're doing to be better at it.
100%. That squeegee technique, again, you're going to use that same technique if you're using, some form of air egress vinyl that a lot of guys now don't want to cut 1,000 things out. They want to print a full panel, let's say on a 4x8 piece of ACM, aluminum composite material, they just want to cover that whole thing, instead of a bunch of different pieces and colors that they're lining up and things like that. So that squeegee technique is going to keep that panel, if you're squeegeeing it down, is going to keep that panel nice and true. So you're not fighting wrinkles, or, and you're going to be able to get through that in 10 minutes as opposed to 20, 25 minutes if things are getting jammed up and you're fighting it, because that calendar vinyl is going to stretch. If you do get it stretched, it's going to go back to where it was to begin with. But yes, those are techniques that you're going to be able to walk away with, no matter if you further yourself in the industry, or you just kind of improve what you're currently doing. So
Okay. So I think I'm going to do this more as a series, because I think there's a lot of steps to understanding the wrap industry, the profitability of it, the business angle, as well as and let's just say it is a trade. It's like being a
for sure.
plumber, or being an electrician, or being a roofer. It takes a very distinct set of skills to go look at a fleet of 20 complex vehicles and say, I can do all that. I can
100%.
execute that, and do it in a way where you don't make mistakes, and do it in a way where at the end of it, you make money. You don't lose money by having to
Yeah.
reprint and do a bunch of things over again. That's a trade, a legitimate trade
100%.
that takes time and investment. I mean, how long have you been doing this?
So I'll be in business for myself. November, it'll be 16 years. So, let's round up the actual time in the business, probably about 20 years at least.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I
And you're
worked in a
still
sign shop.
watching, other videos within trade people of, hey, what's new, what's introduced, what's new film, what are techniques that are out there that I can learn from.
100%. I mean, the industry is more advanced than it's ever been, from the manufacturer to manufacturer. The feel of vehicle wrap films are very different now, whereas, 10 years ago or more, maybe they used to feel very much the same. Installation technique was very much the same. Now everything has very unique properties, and, has to be treated, as that. And there's different installation techniques, there's different post heating temperatures, there's some films manufacturers you can use primer on, some say if you use any kind of adhesion promoter, it voids your warranty, so it's come a long way. And there's techniques, there's the Rap Institute. I'll go back to that again. You'll look at Justin and his team, Reiner will, roll out a technique for installation, and one of them is called triangles, the way you read the vinyl, the way you kind of keep the vinyl taut and things like that, and then they're continuing their learning, and they're developing techniques that are better than that, so it continues to change and evolve. Evolve's a better word than change. It continues to evolve, and if you're not kind of staying on top of that with the techniques, the great tools that are coming out that are built by rappers, invented by rappers for rappers, then you're kind of shortchanging yourself.
Okay. I'm going to put all of the links that you mentioned in the bottom, so anyone watching can find them. This is going to be a series, and we're going to cover a lot of ground in the course of the next, year or so. And then one of the things I wanted to tell people about the wrap world, which I think is really cool, is if you're a guy or gal who like is a little out of the mold, right? You're a strange cat, you're a different kind of thing. You have your own
Different.
flag, you
Love
march
them.
to your own drummer, however you want to put it. The vehicle wrap industry is not a bad place for you to find a home and to make a living, right?
100%.
Because one of the things I love, they're just a gang of pirates, and some are super kind of formal corporate, a little more like you, and then others are, just way out there. And it doesn't really matter because it's kind of like the old Al Davis with the Raiders. Just win, baby.
That's
Just
it.
be good at what you do, and everyone will just let you be you because you come in, get that wrapped, it all looks perfect, and you can be your own guy, own gal, make your own living and pave your own way. And I think the industry, one of the things I love about the vehicle wrap industry is how much that still remains true.
Yeah. Skill is skill. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter kind of what cloth you're cut from. Respect goes to the guy who's a killer,
That's right.
and by the killer, I mean a motherfucker with a squeegee, pardon my language,
Yeah.
but those are the guys guys and girls that get the respect, the ones that are killers. In my circles, that's what I call them, the MFers. It's end of the day comes down to your skill with that squeegee.
Right. I mean, people will call you and say, I need you in Boise. I need you there in a week, and we're going to do 30 vehicles, and I trust you explicitly. Take care of it. And,
Right.
you get to travel, you get paid, people show you respect, they appreciate your work, and, you make a good living. And
100%.
there's a high demand for those MFers that you're referring to.
Yep.
People need them, they want them, that stuff has to get done. And if you're good at it and you're fast at it and you're efficient and you don't have things come back and things don't fail, you will definitely build your reputation in this industry.
Yeah. And, on that point, you talked about multi-million-dollar. I actually did some research for, I'm putting a business plan together for what might be a little bit of a future endeavor, but the vehicle wrap industry is actually a multi-billion-dollar industry that's expected to grow in double digits year over year for the next
Wow.
few years, to tune like 20%
Cool.
next year, that's ridiculous. In a multi-billion-dollar industry, that is a lot, a lot, a lot. So that's why I'm so glad, and that's something what I'm working on is on the training facet of things, because we'll go into these markets, and training isn't just something that's getting pushed to generate dollars. Where I was in the Florida market a few weeks back, Tampa and Orlando markets, and we weren't even planning on any kind of training or anything like that. And almost every shop we went into, they're like, "Are you guys going to be having a training? Are you going to be holding a training? Are you doing a training?" So I'm like, wow, there's a need, there's a demand for it. Some of these guys were pretty experienced, they're already in the trenches doing it. So that just shows a demand for not only beginners who want to learn right to begin with, which is amazing because there's a lot of wrong out there, but people that are already in the trenches and doing the damn thing, they want to continue their learning. They want what I refer to a lot with my circle is the rub. When you're in that room with killers and you're learning from killers, you're going to get the rub. Some of that stuff's going to rub off on you. You're going to,
That's great. You have your own lingo.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
explore that
Right.
a lot.
Yeah, I love going to rap events. It's some of my favorite people. It's a very familial kind of environment. People are
It
very
is.
helpful to one another. They encourage you. They show you things. You can talk to anybody. It's just a good crowd.
It
And
is.
the reason I think I want to do this series as much as anything is I want young men and women who are looking for something to do as a profession, as a skill that is permanently yours, that you can go anywhere in the country and say, hey, I can make a good living plugging this in. And the answer is you can do that as a very serious and competent vehicle wrap installer. You can have a lot of your own autonomy. When you work, you work hard, but if you work really smart, you can definitely get paid. I know people making very good money in this industry.
Yeah.
And you're almost not cancelable and you're almost not replaceable. Okay, there's going to be no AI that replaces your need, a corporate need to put a giant wrap on a truck, right? There's no AI, there's no robot, none of that's going to happen. That's going to be somebody putting it on by hand for the rest of, certainly probably from the rest of my lifetime. Now,
For
they may
sure.
find ways to have certain robotic automation on smooth sides of semi trucks or something,
Yeah, it might
but
be
there's still
still
going to
a
be
long way out. Yeah.
yeah, it's a long, long way out because there's a finesse to it. There really is an art form. There's a subtlety to it. There's a feel for the different kinds of vinyls, the heat, the temperature, all of that. And again, skill, trade, art form. Um, that seem reasonable, Matt? I mean, I don't think I
100%.
misspoke on any
Yeah.
of that.
No, you've hit every point for sure.
All right. All right, folks, thank you very much for joining us. This is episode 1 on the whole wrap industry. I'm going to be bringing a lot of people on, and Matt, of course, I'd like to have as a regular guest. If you need to reach out or find Matt, I'm going to put it in the link. It's A&M Graphics in New York. He also has the training he mentioned. He does the training. He has training places, and he can recommend places near you if he's not. And then also the Wrap Institute, Justin, and those guys are excellent, of course. And me, I'm just a guy that was told a long time ago, step away from the vehicle, son, and go back to the computer. And one day I will do a rap. I will do it in front of all of the people that, traditionally laugh at my, and I will execute. So Matt, that is on my list of things to accomplish is I will wrap a
Just
vehicle end to end myself and say, I did
couple
that.
couple squeegee detentions, but we'll get you there.
All right. Take care, buddy. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll talk to you
Bye.
soon.